Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to My Two Cents About the Good Stuff. I'm Cynt Marshall, President and CEO of Marshalling Resources, or MR as we call it. At MR, our goal is to lead, engage, and inspire. We hope you will enjoy these inspiring conversations of compassion, action, and impact. We are about impact. Each month, we invite people to our podcast to answer what Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. called life's most persistent and urgent question: what are you doing for others? Our podcast today features two people who I love, and they will answer this question and more. We will also put the spotlight on two organizations who are up to good stuff. And before we sign off, we will share information about two upcoming events where you can make a difference and make lives better. Yes, two and two, my 2 cents. This podcast is about making good stuff happen. If you want to be uplifted in spirit and are looking for ways to make a positive difference for others, you've tuned into the right place. Okay, let's get into our topic. November is National Adoption Month, and November 22nd is National Adoption Day. It's a time to increase awareness about adoption and the urgent need for adoptive families. There are more than 100,000 children, let that sink in, 100,000 children in the U.S. foster care system who need our support. National Adoption Month was established in 1995, coincidentally the same year that we adopted our son, Kenneth Anthony. We met him in December 1994 after I had suffered 4 second trimester miscarriages and lost a daughter, our 6-month-old daughter, Special K, as a result of complications from being born 4 months prematurely. The death of our angel, Special K, ushered in an era of adoption for our family. Take a look at this clip from National Adoption Month 2 years ago. We were blessed to share our adoption story with WFAA news anchor, my good friend Cynthia, and you will hear from her a little bit later.
Your mama taught you to smile.
Yeah. Yes, she did.
I always tell my kids, Mother Teresa said, smile because it's the beginning of love.
It is. You just smile your way through it. You smile your way through it.
Yeah, like Ricky said, family's everything. To see my family and my parents try to have a family and to make a family, and to see the family that they brought us into, they're having huge families. It really solidifies that into our hearts and our souls. Like, this is what we're doing it for. At the end of the day, this is all we have. Regardless if we're gone tomorrow, like, our family's gonna be there. And so it's beautiful, and I'm super thankful to think that this is my sister, this is my brother. I have another sister that, you know, I had a hand in creating and helping, so it's everything to me.
And you continue, Kenny, to help children, the two of you, I mean, in a very big way through Dallas CASA. Can we talk about that for a minute, Kenny? People watching this may be interested in how they can help. Obviously, you're strong advocates. What would you say to people that want to help, especially men?
I would say to you that it's a way that you can help others. After I adopted children, I realized that these were not the only children that needed to be supported. And I also felt like I could participate in a different way. So my recommendation would be to volunteer for an organization like CASA, or volunteer for CASA in particular. And I found it to be very rewarding in terms of just supporting the whole idea of family.
You can find the full video posted on YouTube or linked to this podcast. This year, National Adoption Month theme is Honoring Youth, Strengthening Pathways for Lasting Bonds. Today, I will be visiting with two people who are living out this theme every single day. Our first guest is the CEO of Dallas CASA, Kathleen LaValle. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. Prior to her current position, Kathleen practiced law for 30 years, earning distinction in Chambers USA and chairing the Texas State Bar Antitrust and Business Litigation Section. She's all that. Kathleen has gone from litigating regulatory disputes to advocating for the well-being of children in foster care. Before becoming the CEO, Kathleen served on Dallas CASA's board for 12 years. She leads the largest CASA organization in the country and is one of the best leaders on the planet. Dallas CASA was included in the Dallas Morning News top workplaces in the Dallas-Fort Worth region. I met Kathleen 12 years ago when I moved to Dallas. I will leave it to Kathleen to tell you how we met. Yes, we had a little talk in the dark. Please welcome to My 2 Cents About the Good Stuff, my dear friend, Kathleen LaValle. Hey, sister.
Oh my gosh, Cynt. I am so happy to be here with you.
Oh my gosh. Well, yes, I am sure, since you are the person. Okay, let me just let everybody know. Kathleen is the person who convinced me that I needed to have a podcast. You wouldn't let it go. You wouldn't let it go, but you knew I would be talking about good stuff.
So I put it in a comment to a LinkedIn post, and I got like 4,000 impressions when I encouraged her to start this podcast, and I would send screenshots to her. Every time the impression number jumped another 1,000, and go, you are called to do this.
Oh my goodness. So between you and Cheryl Jackson, I just said, okay, I give up. Like, I have to do it. Okay, so I want you to just start with your background. Tell us, childhood, college, early career, all that. Just give us some of the backstory before we jump into all the adoption stuff.
I really had an idyllic childhood. I grew up in Silver Spring, Maryland, outside of D.C. My dad was with the State Department.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? My mom was a homemaker, but also an artist, a creator. She sewed all of my clothes, other than play clothes, jeans and stuff, through my college years.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And I was the best dressed kid in town.
You know how to sew?
I think that, no, do I know how to sew? It skips generations. Did you know that? It skips generations. So, but I think she was so relieved because finally she had a girl. I have 3 older brothers who are my heroes. And just, the oldest taught me to play sports. The second oldest taught me to love literature. And the closest in age, is my dearest friend and really mentored me as I made the transition from a commercial background to nonprofit, because that's the same transition he made.
Oh, I love that.
So.
Oh, I love that. I didn't know that. I'm already learning stuff. And I know you, okay? So now tell us about your family and how adoption entered your life.
So I can remember, and I was reminded of it constantly, when I was about 8 or 9 years old. I came home from school and I told my mom that, I wanted to adopt when I was older, and it was because we had this newsletter called The Messenger that we read in grade school, and it talked about the explosion of the population, the world population, and just painting this as a kind of a doomsday. And I was like, I'm not going to add to that. I was very impressionable, and so
So you decided back then. How old were you?
I think I was probably about 9.
Wow.
And so fast forward, Mike and I get married in 1979, and we're struggling, to get pregnant, and really just decided that what we were meant to be. He was working for Hope Cottage at the time, his first full-time job after getting his doctorate in psychology, and all the signs just seemed to be pointing in that direction. And so, we're blessed with 2 adopted children in their mid and early 30s. So.
Oh my goodness. So it was just meant to be. That's our story. It was truly meant to be. Okay, so I want you to talk about CASA.
Okay.
Now, when I tell people that I'm a CASA volunteer, some people still haven't heard of CASA. They know about foster care and all that, but they just don't know exactly what CASA is all about. So tell us, what's CASA's mission, all of that. Talk to us about it.
So the origin of the CASA model came out of a court in Seattle. The judge was very frustrated because every attorney and social worker, would come in and lay out a plan that it was really cookie cutter like, the same services for the parent, the same assessments for the children. And he felt like they didn't really know this child or this child.
It wasn't personal.
It wasn't personal. They didn't know the world that child was in. And so he recruited 50 community volunteers to come in and essentially act as his expert, his master of sorts, to go out and get to know the child's circumstances and come back and report what are their needs. Are they safe? Do they feel secure? And so we were, as Dallas CASA, we were one of 3 pilots to emulate that incredible model And we formed in 1980, so we're in our 45th year now.
Happy anniversary.
Happy anniversary, it is. Thank you. But I just always like to remind people what a radical model this is.
Yes.
Because you're talking about individuals from a community who are passionate about children, but they don't have necessarily any social work background. They're not necessarily attorneys, and they bring to this really our collective consciousness about what would we want a child of ours, a niece and nephew, to experience. How would we want them to be cared for? And I think that's what makes the model really so radical and so special.
It's a beautiful model. And I often say, big people take care of little people. And our job as adults is to take care of these children. And what CASA does, and what I love about just what is happening there every day, is you are giving us big people that opportunity to truly care for these little ones. So full disclosure, I am a CASA advocate. Okay, I'm a volunteer, right? Full
and
disclosure.
She's so trainable. Did I mention that? I mean, just like absolutely, just completely trainable.
And I'm on the board, so I love being on the board. That's why I know what a fabulous leader you are. Okay, and I also love being a volunteer, and I love the fact that you just gave me a new case and all that. So tell these people who are listening how you find your volunteers, just that whole process and what you look for and all that.
So really the best avenue to recruiting more volunteers is through our existing volunteers like you and Kenny.
Yes.
Because you're ambassadors, you talk about the experience, and really when folks who are thinking about it hear from someone who's actually doing it, they challenge themselves. They say, Cynt is doing this. She's got a full plate and then some. Why am I not doing this? And so I do think that people need to envision themselves in that role, and they can best do that by talking to enthusiastic volunteers who will be honest about the difficulty of the role, but then just the extraordinary just satisfaction.
Yes.
And often joy.
Yes.
Just the impact, the personal impact. Some folks think they come in and they don't know if they have the right skill set to do this, and then they realize they were born to this.
Yeah, because and you're right, it is rewarding. There are some difficulties. You read some of these cases and you just think, oh my goodness, like what is going on here? And then you realize you have an opportunity to just impact a child, and it is so rewarding when they're asking, when are you coming back to see me? And I mean, it's just, and yeah, you get involved in the whole court system and all that, and you have to write the reports, but you have excellent supervisors. I mean, you run a fabulous, organization. You run a fabulous organization. Okay, tell us a little bit about CASA YP, because I want
I love the YP.
Yeah, I want our young people to hear about this.
I know you are a hopeful person. I am a hopeful person, and that hope is multiplied by our young professionals, because they are extraordinary. I kid them that they're all on steroids, but not. But they have such high goals in
Yes.
terms of being in the community and raising awareness of the needs of our children, the need to protect them, to restore their childhood. And they really are fabulous spokespeople
Yes.
for the cause, and they get out there. And what gives me the hope is that last year we had over 50% of our new volunteer applicants were in their 20s and 30s.
Oh, I love that so much.
That is crazy.
Oh, I love that so much.
I mean, most of the more than 900 independent CASA programs nationwide, I mean, the model is
I love
60
that.
and older. I mean, it's like a retiree opportunity.
But I love this new generation. I mean, they have a heart for service. I mean, I look at my own
Yes.
kids, a heart for service. They just know they need to make a difference. That is incredible. Okay, so I know Casa YP, they have a big event coming up.
Oh my gosh,
January
yes.
30th, right?
Yes,
Casablanca.
Casablanca.
Tell us
And
about Casablanca.
it's not just for the young professionals.
That's right.
I will be there. I'm gonna get Cynt there.
Okay, right.
And
I need to come. I need to check my calendar. I don't have my basketball schedule to bog me down.
Yeah,
anymore.
no.
It didn't bog me down, but it takes up a lot of time.
No.
So now I don't have that anymore. So maybe I'm free on January 30th.
So we're super excited about this. So it's a live band, great food, beverages, and then of course there's the chaperone suite. Well, I'll be hanging out with you.
Okay, so we'll be chaperones.
When we need to escape the noise and the gambling, we can go hide out there. But it's really I love the event because it brings more people into the fold.
I love it.
Folks bring their friends, they learn about the cause, and they have a great time. We're going to be at the Adolphus this year. We're kind of stepping up, and so it'll be a tremendous
They
night.
raise money,
Yes.
and then they recruit volunteers too.
It's often how in interview processes we find out that's how these young professionals found out about the mission was through Casablanca.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so a few years ago, Dallas CASA set a goal of 100%. So we wanted to serve all of the kids in Dallas County. So how are we doing? And so tell us about that. And why did you set that goal?
Everyone thought we were nuts.
Oh, I remember. I remember.
It's
You
like
were
that
like,
moonshot. So,
like Pastor Kathleen gone crazy.
yeah. So we were, and the board. It was a board really that had
Yes.
the vision and
did.
the foresight to set this goal. And so, back in 2014, we were serving about 40% of the kids. By 2019, we began accepting 100% of appointments to child welfare cases in Dallas County, and that is just like crazy compared to other large urban areas. And so we serve more children than any other of the 900 programs, and we're the only program of our size in an area like comparable to Dallas County that takes 100% of appointments. And for the time that we've been able to do that, the last 6 years, we've served over 7,500 children.
Oh my goodness. So that means literally every child in Dallas County who enters the child welfare system, so all the kids that are in foster care, they have an advocate, a Dallas CASA advocate.
We have the capacity to accept every single court appointment.
That is so beautiful. So even when these honeys are going from foster home to foster home to foster home, they still have that one caring adult with them, the constant.
And I'm just amazed at the commitments. I mean, we have a volunteer we'll be celebrating this coming year who is in his 30th year of being a Dallas CASA volunteer. And in fact, an individual who as a teenager was in foster care he was assigned to is now a Dallas CASA advocate and has been for the last 10 years.
That's incredible.
So that is you talk about breaking the cycle.
Yes, yes.
We are bringing the cycle.
I love this so much. I love this so much. Okay, so one of my favorite CASA activities is when I'm in my closet or I'm in the store looking at prom dresses so that we can have them delivered to you. Talk about what that's all about, the whole role that the CASA plays in trying to make sure these wonderful young people have a great prom.
What we want for children, is a sense of normalcy.
Yes.
We don't want them to feel defined or limited, restricted by being in foster care. And so I love the prom dress drive and shopping experience. You should bring Kleenex because it is it's very moving. I mean, you can see, and it's open to our girls and our boys, the teens. We have tuxedos. We have, the prom dresses.
Oh, so I should have Kenny get busy and do the tuxedos
Yeah,
too.
definitely.
Okay. So,
But I love
this year we'll bring the prom dresses and the tuxedos.
And the tuxedos and suits.
Yes.
But I love to watch, particularly the young ladies, you kind of take a side glance into a mirror and they're like, I look so pretty. I mean, and you just can sense that you're adding to their self-image. You're really lifting them up, and it's very, very moving. We alter the dresses for the kids because you got to have the right fit. And
I love it.
I love it. I think we really we create memorable moments through that event.
Memories. It's about that. Okay, so Dallas CASA has a lot of events. Okay, you got the golf tournament, you've got the Cherish event, Champions for Children, you got all kind of stuff. What's one of your favorite moments from one of those events?
Well, I have to set aside National Adoption Day because that's my favorite
And we're going to talk
day
about that. We're going to talk
of the
about
year.
that.
But besides that, I love Parade of Playhouses. We
me
just
too.
had our 30th anniversary, and North Park Center just knocks it out of the park in terms of hosting us, and they're really like a concierge level host. They're polishing the plexiglass. I mean, it's just, the team is extraordinary.
I love it.
But what I love about that event is that, we can't photograph children who are in foster care. I mean, that would be horrible. I mean, privacy and exploitation. And so these playhouses are so creative, they're so adorable, and they act as a proxy for what we want for our children, a safe place to grow up, to feel nurtured, to feel loved. And so, that event gets us more media attention than anything we do all year long. And as a result, we get more inquiries about becoming a Dallas CASA advocate.
Oh, I love
from, and we get to say the website 10 million times, dallascasa.org. And so, I get points every time I say the website.
dallascasa.org.
But it makes it a tremendous difference because it's a very low-key way to get introduced to the mission.
Yes.
While you're buying raffle tickets.
Right, because people are buying raffle tickets to actually bid on the playhouses. Okay, so did I ever tell you this story? One Sunday, I'm going through the mall, so I grabbed my daughter. I'm like, Shirley, let's go up to the mall. And I'd already gone through it, right? But I thought it was over, but it wasn't. It was the last day. There were so many people in there. There was so much hype, and then somebody spotted me. Like, I'm in a baseball cap, my sweats. I ended up having to talk to the media. The whole thing was crazy, but I didn't care. The hype that was there was incredible.
No, it's a great vibe.
People get into it.
We have groups, the National, Volunteer League. I mean, who are manning the tables. We have our incredible Children's Council Auxiliary, the Northwood Women. I mean, we have many of our board member organizations are represented. Our young professionals man those tables for us, and so it's it feels like an all-inclusive kind of event that really just brings such awareness.
See, that's what I love. The community comes together for the sake of the kids.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, so look, I want to shift a little bit because I know there have been some changes to the child welfare system. So I want you to talk about community-based care and some of the changes and what it means and how it's going.
So community-based care is a statewide mandate from the legislature to privatize the child welfare system. And it moves region by region. Well, when it got to our region, that includes Dallas County, that was the largest region in terms of the number of children who were going to be impacted. And we made the transition, taking case management from experienced, tenured state agency, CPS caseworkers, and moved it over to a private contractor March 1. It was literally a flash cut. I mean, it was a leap year. So February 29th, its state agency has complete, control and management over our cases. And March 1, we're with a new entity.
But they're licensed social workers and all that. They have experience.
So
because to say privatized, that just sounds strange to me.
Well, and because there was a fair amount of advance notice of what the schedule was, many of the tenured caseworkers found jobs in other state agencies. They had, their state benefits, their retirement. I mean, you completely understand it. And so the expectation that there would be this shift into private employment by state employees was off. It was way overestimated. And so as a result, the contractor was faced with this incredible workforce challenge. In fact, not only did they, not have a high percentage of positions filled, but then they had turnover almost immediately because if you have a smaller staff, the caseloads are larger. And so, they've said they had 100% turnover in their case manager positions in those early days and months. And so I really feel for them in terms of trying to address that challenge. And what we've tried to do as Dallas CASA is to step in and really stand in the gap, to really absorb additional responsibilities that ordinarily would have fallen to the caseworkers, to even mentor some of these caseworkers for the private contractor. Their only issue is they're inexperienced. They haven't had that world experience that gives you the judgment to not judge.
Exactly.
And to not, and so
because
so we
you can. That's one thing I've learned, and I've written about it. They don't need you to judge them. These people don't need you to judge them. They need you to care. It really is compassion in action. They need you to care. But you're experts at that. Your staff, you guys are experts.
We have very long tenure on
Yeah.
our staff. We're very blessed by that. And then our volunteer advocates, they want those case managers to succeed.
Yes.
And because they don't want the kids and the families subject to the constant turnover.
Right.
That consistency is so important for our children. It's important for our families too.
Has it gotten better?
I feel like it's gotten better in terms of they hire ahead.
Okay,
And so
that's
that's good. So I don't feel like we have those absolute gaps, but you're still having more turnover than I'm sure that they would like. Where you want to get ultimately is where, with this privatization, that the community itself feels, the local community feels ownership for the well-being and the wellness of our children who were removed from homes in our community. And so one of our, expectations and hopes is that this movement will somehow get us to having our children placed, to have that capacity, more beds actually in your own community. We're not seeing enough of that movement yet, but I'm hoping that will ultimately be an outcome.
You'll see that. How do you measure success?
Oh gosh, I measure success really in two ways. One through individuals who absolutely inspire me. I told you about and she's in her 30s now. We have an advocate who has been doing this for 10 years, and she was herself, a child in foster care.
That is special.
And his
You're getting all fogged up here.
and
You're not. That's special. That's special.
And her advocate is still doing it. And so
that's special.
And then we have on our staff, we have a supervisor who we served when he was a young child in foster care, and he is doing tremendous things, particularly in creating and supporting educational opportunities for kids in foster care, because he knows how important that was to him and to his success. So those are kind of the personal ways. And then in a because it's an English major, but also kind of a data nerd.
Yes.
And so, we look at recidivism, we look at cases that close, how likely or how often do children end up coming back in the system. And the rate of recidivism, if you look 1 year out from the case closure and 5 years out for Dallas County, where we have the capacity to serve all children, our recidivism rate is so much better than the state average.
Wow.
And it's in some cases like 12% different and lower than what you see in other urban areas in Texas. And so, that's a result of a collaboration, teamwork, stakeholders coming together and really being focused on a child's future. But ultimately, that's what you want, right? I mean, you want the cycle to be interrupted.
It's about those kids.
Yeah.
Okay, so they're telling me to wrap it up. So look, I have two final questions. When you think of the children served by Dallas CASA, okay, you think about just what you do every day. What gives you hope that we're going to continue to make progress and that we're going to continue to be able to protect these children and restore their childhoods? What gives you the hope?
I think it's just listening to our volunteer advocates like you, Cynt. I mean, we were supposed to be at another event. We were sitting in the lobby talking about Cynt's case, but
oh, that's true.
That's true.
We missed the opening. It's like, oh Lord.
Yeah. So
I had to take advantage of the fact that I had you right there. Okay, I needed some advice.
I was a captive audience, but just witnessing the commitment, the dedication gives me so much hope, and hearing from our young adults who've come out of the foster care system, hearing them on panels talking about what a difference it made that someone cared about them, that you showed up, that every month you were there, and you were that example of a reliable, trustworthy adult that they've not had.
You show up.
And it really, one of the great risks of growing up in foster care is that you'll give up on yourself. And I think that what our volunteers do really, really well is make sure that a child does not give up on themselves.
Right. Because I know mine right now, she calls me. Yeah. She goes, when are you coming back? Like I just left. Wait. But I love that because out of all the things I have going on, that truly is my priority. That is like the crystal ball, because you all have matched me to somebody that now I just feel like, okay, that's my job, to make sure that she's okay, to make sure the judge and all these people have the insight that I can bring. Everybody brings their own insight. I don't even know how y'all do the matching process, but
It's magic.
it's magic. It works every time.
Algorithms.
Okay, so here's my last question. When you think about your 2 children, what's the dream that you have for all of these kids that are in foster care?
You know, I think what we want for all of our children is that they feel secure,
Yes.
that they feel good in their own skin, that they learn independence, that they feel competent. I think sometimes we kind of skip over that, but I think to have a growing sense of competence is so critical, and to be a safety net, because you know what? We mess up, right? We all have made decisions, and so to telegraph to this child, this teen, this young adult, that there is forgiveness, there is mercy, there is hope, there's a reset button out there that can be pushed. I think that's what we really want for all of our children, because it is, that's how they're going to make that transition. We already have, such a challenge particularly for children who grow up in the foster care system and try to make that transition. That's why we have a program now that specifically focuses on making sure that their potential can be fully realized.
I love that. A lot of people aren't focused on what happens to them after they leave the system.
Yes,
And so no, CASA is focused on that.
we are.
I love what you do. I love you.
Oh my
Thanks
gosh,
for doing
I
it.
love
I love
and
hanging
adore
out
you
with
and
you.
respect you and admire you and all those things. And I'm so glad you took my advice to do this little podcast.
I took your advice and I took the consultation you gave me. So you're running my life, Kathleen. You are running my life. I love it. I love you, sister.
I love you.
Keep doing the good work. During each episode of My 2 Cents About the Good Stuff, we spotlight 2 corporations or organizations that are up to good stuff. Today, we are spotlighting Jonathan's Place and the Gladney Center for Adoption. Earlier this year, I had the pleasure, and it was truly a pleasure, of participating in the Jonathan's Place annual A Chance to Soar Luncheon. I was blown away by the work of this incredible nonprofit organization. The mission of Jonathan's Place is to provide a safe place, loving homes, and promising futures for abused and neglected children, teens, and young adults. On September 10th, 1994, Jonathan's Place opened as the first licensed foster group home in the state of Texas, serving children under the age of 11, including newborns. A lot has changed over 30 years. Jonathan's Place provides emergency residential care for children in crisis, newborn through 18 years old. They serve as a child placing agency, licensed to recruit, train, and certify foster families, and licensed to place children from Child Protective Services with these families. Jonathan's Place also facilitates adoptions, something near and dear to my heart. Under the leadership of current CEO Alicia Fry, Jonathan's Place was granted a license to operate a girls' residential therapeutic program for girls ages 10 through 17. They also have a transitional living program for girls ages 17 to 23 who are aging out of the foster care system. 7 years ago, Jonathan's Place expanded their foster care and adoption program to include children with intellectual disabilities, children on the autism spectrum, and children who have been sex trafficked. For more information about Jonathan's Place, please go to jpkids.org. I love these people and the work they do to provide safety, security, and support for thousands of children and youth. Yay, Jonathan's Place. Our second spotlight is on the Gladney Center for Adoption. When I first moved to Dallas, I had the pleasure of working on a project called Adopt Ed. I met the wonderful team at Gladney Center for Adoption and knew immediately that they were on a mission to give children caring and loving families. Thank you, Randall Stevenson, for introducing me to Gladney. What started out as a man's dream to find homes for orphan children has turned into over 135 years of providing help to expectant parents, birth parents, and adoptive parents. Check out an excerpt from a video that you can find on Gladney's website.
We are both Gladney moms. And I actually reached out to Paige when Captain Awesome and I decided that we wanted to adopt a child. And we reached out to her, and she sent us to Gladney immediately. And so we adopted my amazing 4-year-old Henry, who we love so much. As many of you know, I have worked with foster children beyond my time here at WFAA, and I always knew in my heart that a child was growing there. So when the time was right, I talked with Jeremy about it, and we agreed it was time to adopt. And if you adopt through Gladney, there are 3 different ways that you can do so. And in the end, the way we chose was through the foster care system.
Many thanks to the Gladney team for the work being done to educate people about adoption and for the life-changing work of creating forever families. Please go to adoptionsbygladney.com to learn more about the amazing organization, or call 817-859-8348. Thank you, Gladney Center for Adoption. You've already seen my second guest twice. Cynthia Izaguirre is the Emmy award-winning news anchor for WFAA at 6 and 10 p.m. Yes, Emmy award-winning. Since 2011, she has produced and anchored the Wednesday's Child segments, which help find abused and neglected children a safe and loving home. I love this woman. The work that Cynthia and WFAA have done to raise awareness about adoption is not just admirable, but it is also award-winning. In 2022, the National Association of Broadcasters presented WFAA with its Service to America Award. On May 6, 2022, Cynthia was presented with the Caroline Rose Hunt Cherish the Children Award for her years as host of Wednesday's Child. I was there. We actually had a conversation that day. We had a conversation that day and shared a few tears. Cynthia is all about serving our children. I've seen this sister in action. She is passionate about something that I'm passionate about, permanence and stability for our children. Please welcome my dear, dear, dear friend, Cynthia Izaguirre. Hey. I love you, baby. I love you. I had to tell it all, okay? I was trying to tell all of it, okay?
Your 2 cents.
My 2 cents. My 2 cents. I had to give them like 4 cents for you, okay? It is so good to see you.
Likewise.
Just let's catch up before we jump into this whole topic of adoption. Just tell us a little bit about you, who you are, where you are. You're a Dallas native, right?
Well, I was actually born in Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, I didn't know that.
But you know what they say, I got here as fast as I could. So the parents moved here to Dallas just down the road when I was 1 year old.
Wow.
They were kind of hoping the move from New York to Texas would save the marriage. It didn't.
Okay.
So they got divorced a few years later. Dad moved back to New York.
Okay.
And then my mom stayed here and raised my 2 sisters and me here in Dallas. So I am a Dallas product through and through. The Dallas Independent School District educated me.
Oh, I love it.
K through senior year at TJ. And from there, I moved on to the University of North Texas for 4 glorious years. I am a proud Mean Green alum, a proud DISD alum.
Oh, I love
and
this.
And just such an honor to call myself, I do believe, a native Dallasite.
Oh, I love this. Our last podcast was on education. And I actually had Dr. Stephanie Elizalde here and Taylor Toynes. We all talked about DISD, just what we're doing for kids and all that. So you are a product of DISD.
The teachers educated me, and I love my teachers. They are a part of who I am. Miss Watson, my first grade teacher from Herbert Marcus Elementary, I just saw her yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yes. I went and visited her. She called me and asked me if I would fix her nails. She's at an assisted living facility. And I went over and I painted her nails, and she was thanking me, and I'm like, Miss Watson, you took care of me and so many children.
Yes,
the least I could do is paint your nails.
Exactly. See, I agree with that. I think teachers are like the best people on the planet. I mean, I love them so much. Every speech I give, I always stop and acknowledge the educators.
Thank you.
The role that they played in my life, just what they do every day. Homeland Security. They are secure in the future. I love it. I love it. I love it. Okay, so you have 3 children, one who was adopted out of foster care. Okay, tell us about the joys of motherhood and being married to Captain Awesome. And why do you call your husband Captain Awesome? Well, I love him. I love him.
Just because of who he is.
Because he's awesome.
Yeah, Captain Awesome is awesome, and he is the rock of our family. I always say there is no WFAA Cynthia Izaguirre without my Captain Awesome. He has been a force in our household. He has been, for all intents and purposes, the stay-at-home parent while I've been away in this very demanding career, and he's done a phenomenal job with our 3 children. They are our life. They are our everything, and they have always had stability, thanks to the 2 of us working as hard as we can to provide that. Because how can I expect myself to go out and try to find stable homes for children if I'm not providing that at home myself?
Right. You have to.
So we've worked really hard at that. So
You do whatever it takes. You do
whatever
I mean,
it
you
takes.
know Kenny. You know my husband was stay-at-home dad. We made that decision at some point when we were both late picking up the kids one night. We're like, okay, something's got to give. And he says, okay, I guess the W-2 speak for themselves.
That's exactly what Captain Awesome
He's
said.
like, hey, I mean, he said, and this is what one time he told a reporter, he said, a real man will do whatever it takes for his family to thrive. I read that in the article. I said, did you say that? He said, yeah, I don't know where that came from. But it just got
From his heart.
It came from his heart. Yeah. It came from his heart. So I can appreciate your comments about Captain Awesome, just when you smile talking about him, just, I love that.
I love him.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. Okay, so what made you decide to adopt?
You know, it wasn't my decision, Cynt, as you know. That desire was placed in my heart by God himself.
Yes.
Okay? People always tell me, you know, what can I do to help of children in foster care? And I don't have it to adopt, but I want to help. And there's almost like they're a little embarrassed to say it. I'm like, don't be embarrassed. That's not your calling to adopt a child.
You have to be called.
You have to be called.
You have to be called.
And so you've got to trust in that.
Yes.
And so thank you. There are lots of things you can do to help children in foster care. And it doesn't just have to be to adopt them. So that was placed in my heart in my 20s, Cynt. Henry has been growing in my heart for decades. And I tell him this all the time. You know, and
I love it. I love it.
Beautiful thing. So that's what made me decide. And when I started working with children, then that just solidified it, that we would adopt a child one day. I discussed it with Captain Awesome on our first date. I said, so you know, I said, we were just talking. And he was asking me about my work with Wednesday's Child.
Yes.
And I said, yeah, by the way, I plan to adopt a child one day. And he was like, how funny, me too. So it was always in his heart too.
Because the Lord has a plan.
The Lord has a plan.
And it's a great plan. And
Amen.
It is a great plan.
It is biblical too, Cynt, as you know, in the book of Matthew.
Yes.
Whoever welcomes this child welcomes me, and whoever welcomes me welcomes not me, but the one who sent me.
Preach, sister. Preach.
Yeah, it is
Preach.
biblical.
It's divine. It
Amen.
is divine.
We are
divine.
called as Christians to take care of the take care of the orphans and the widows.
Yes, we
it
have
is
to.
biblical. It's all over the
We
Bible.
have to. That is one thing that is on my mind right now. I said we hear a lot of things are happening on the news. We hear about a lot of stuff. Who is talking about these orphans that have been created? Who's talking about the child that's in foster care that needs help? I just don't hear a lot of people talking about that.
Well, we are today.
So that's right. So we are talking about
back on that.
So we're talking about it. Okay. So look. So most of us in Dallas know that you're an amazing co-anchor of the news and all that. As I mentioned in my introduction, you are the producer, okay, not just the anchor for Wednesday's Child. So for the whole segment, I love it so much. You almost got me twice trying to adopt again. So how did you get involved in it? Why did you do it? Just talk to us about it. What's the backstory of it?
The backstory is, as you know, I grew up watching WFAA, being a native of Dallas. So I had seen Gloria Campos doing Wednesday's Child for many years.
And wasn't that your dream? You were going to be on there one day.
Yes. My dream was to do what Gloria Campos did. Did I ever think I would succeed her?
Wow.
No. But like you said,
that's crazy.
It's not my plan.
No, it's divine.
It's divine.
It's divine.
So when I was working in Albuquerque before I got to WFAA, I was asked to do some segments on foster children there. And I said, sure, no problem.
Right.
Did the segments, fell in love with these children. So I started working with foster children way back in the early 2000s in Albuquerque when I worked at KOAT. Get to WFAA, Gloria announces she's going to retire, and my boss has said, would you like to take over the Wednesday's Child Reports?
And you almost fainted.
I said, what a privilege and what an honor that would be.
Yes,
That
yes.
is one of the legacies of WFAA. That is one of the greatest things that we do at WFAA. So that's how it came to be.
Oh my goodness. How do you decide who is going to be featured? And you know, I'm fascinated with it because, as you know, Shirley, the second child we adopted, who's 30 years old now, was a Wednesday's Child on the San Francisco News. The Wednesday's Child thing is near and dear to my heart. How do you decide? I mean, I know how it was decided for her, but how do you guys decide who's going to be featured?
WFAA does not choose the children we feature.
Okay.
It is the organizations who work with the Department of Family and Protective Services to find foster homes for children. They're the ones who decide. As you know,
Right, that's what happened with Shirley.
yes, that's what happened with Shirley. We are privatized right now in North Texas, so there are two organizations who place children for adoption, OCOK and Empower. So I work with a representative from each organization.
Okay.
They bring the children to us every week. They set up the shoots, they set up the tapings. We show up, we tape the children, and the two rules are always this. Because I tell the kids when I meet them, there's two rules, and they're like, oh gosh, what's this lady gonna say? And I'm like, smile
Yes.
and have fun.
And have fun.
Those are the only two rules
And
today.
have fun.
And they get so excited. I'm
Yes.
like, you just be you.
Yes.
Because the smile is the beginning of love. That is what Mother Teresa said.
Yes.
You know? And so
Yes.
smile, child, because someone's
Yes.
gonna fall in love with you today.
I remember you telling someone that, and you made me sit right across from him because I just so happened to be there because we had this whole math thing to go with it, and you made me sit right by him so he could look at me and smile. Yes, and he did, and he did, and he
It
did,
is
and
the
he did.
beginning of love.
Oh, I love this so much. What's one of your favorite segments? I know they're all your favorites.
They're all my favorites.
So not favorite, but just one that stands out that you could talk about right now. I know you could talk about all of them, but just tell us about one.
Can I do two real
do two.
quickly?
Yes, of course.
Okay.
Of course.
So the first
This is
one.
my podcast. I can do what I want to do. Okay? You can talk about 2, 3, 4. You talk as many as you want to talk about because we are trying to bring some awareness today.
Yeah, thank you, Cynt. The first one, and I'll go chronologically, was a 13-year-old boy named Tim, who we featured in 2021. Please go to WFA.com. His story is still there.
Oh, Tim. Okay. I got
13 years old, that child had been in the system since he was 3 years old. How in the world
Oh, that's criminal.
did Tim fall through the cracks?
That makes me sick.
So we did a very powerful Wednesday's Child on him. And you could just see in his eyes how tired he was already. 13 years old, bags under his eyes.
Oh.
And I was desperate to get this child adopted. And sadly, I don't know what happened to him. Because of the turnover in social workers and caseworkers, I have over the years tried to get a hold of him. I don't even know what his last name is because we're not allowed to know their last name for privacy reasons. So it's 13-year-old Tim back in 2021. When I called back the caseworkers who were on the case, they were gone. Call this next caseworker. What happened to Tim? I don't know. I'm not on the case anymore. So to this day, I don't know what happened to Tim. So if
He's 17 years old now.
he's
We don't know
17.
where he is. We don't know if he got adopted or if he's getting ready to age out of foster care system. We want to find Tim.
please, and I hope that this
If we do
podcast-
nothing else, we want to find Tim and love up on him. Hopefully he got adopted or is stable. We want to find Tim. Okay, we will
Thank
do that.
you.
We will do that. Cheryl Jackson, make a note. We're going to find Tim.
we need to find Tim. And
And to languish in the system that long, both Shirley and Anthony were 2.5 years old when we adopted them. And it breaks my heart to know that a child is languishing in the system for 10 years and is 13 years old. I mean, that just makes me sick. We're going to find Tim.
thank you.
Okay.
Number two, 10-year-old Tamara, back in 2022. This little girl, she was 10 years old, most beautiful little girl. And we taped her at a dancing studio. And she was just dancing, flying in the air. And oh my gosh, Daryl Golden, our photographer, did such a good job on all of them. And on this one, we sit down to do the interview, and I'm sitting here, she's sitting where you are. And I just looked at her and said, I don't know. It was, once again, God.
Yes.
I just spit out, do you know, I see God in you. I see joy in you. And she started crying. And you know what she told me? No one has ever said something like that to me. And I said, what? And she said, I don't hear kind things.
Right, she's just hearing bad stuff.
She's just hearing bad stuff. This child was starved of kindness.
Oh, that breaks my heart. That breaks, I'm gonna have to get some tissue. That breaks my heart. It breaks.
That should never happen to a child.
And it is happening.
Every day.
And it is happening every single day. These children are born into circumstances through no fault of their own, and then they languish, and nobody's loving them, nobody's giving them the words to make them feel good. They're not speaking kindness into them. And I'm not judging any of the parents. I'm not, because people
cannot judge.
People have issues. We don't judge. We just want to care for all of them.
Yes.
But the child ends up suffering because the parents are suffering.
I was told by her previous caseworker that she did get adopted.
Yes. Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's beautiful. Okay, so you must just feel great when you hear that news, that you featured this child and then the adoption occurred. Just take us through kind of that emotional roller coaster.
It is, like I said, it's a privilege and an honor, but when you find out that these children have been adopted, it is a relief.
Yes.
It is a relief, and I just thank God, and I just want to be his servant, Cynt.
Yes.
And show, use me, God, please use me.
Let him.
And so it fills me with hope.
Yes.
And that hope I take on to the next child.
Oh, I love it. Okay, so why do you think, let's go back to Tim, why do you think there's so many teenagers now? Because when you look at the statistics, we're seeing more and more teenagers that are in foster care. What is going on?
Lots of different reasons. I think the system itself is so broken.
Yes.
And it continues to be broken for decades. It's not this administration. It's not the last.
No.
It's
No.
50 years of broken system where we are letting these children languish.
Yes.
They should not be in the system for 10 years.
Right. They just should not be. They should not be. They just should not be. I told you, I think I share with, because, you know, we've talked a lot of times and you interviewed my family, you're wonderful and all that. We've talked before. I have this vision, okay? But I didn't create this, okay? Somebody gave me a book. It was divine, okay? I'm reading this book, and it was a fictional version and then a nonfiction version. And it's called Hope Meadows and then Bring on the Blessings. And it's about where these women, and two different stories, one is real, one, you know, not real, but they ended up taking like an old army barracks or an old school or whatever, and they turned it into this whole community, and they took these quote unquote unadoptable kids, usually like the teenagers, right? And they found people who were retired or who just wanted to give back and created this whole community. So they brought in the teachers, the doctors, all that, and created a village to take these quote unquote unadoptable kids so they wouldn't languish in the system and give them families, home, and a community. That is my vision. That is what I want to do before I close my eyes on this earth, is have a village in Texas, one in California, one in North Carolina. I'm having one everywhere where I've lived, because they are languishing.
And I will help you.
Thank you.
I will help you.
We got to save them. We got to save them.
We've got to save them, and we got to help them save themselves.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. They just need the tools. They need the love, the kindness.
They need parents.
They need parents.
A state can't be a child's parent.
Right. They need parents.
And so, on average, according to the Department of Family and Protective Services, you're looking at about 1,500 children who age out of the system every year here in Texas.
That's heartbreaking.
Right now, there are, according to the website, around 16,000 children in foster care here in the state of Texas. 4,000 whose parental rights have been terminated. Once parental rights are terminated, this child can be adopted.
Yes.
So we need people who God has placed that in their hearts to adopt these children, to not give up on them. You know what?
Could
They're
never
not
give up on them.
perfect.
No, they're not perfect, but we're not perfect.
We're not perfect.
We've all made mistakes. They're not perfect. They've been through a lot. They have trauma, but they need us. And that's why we are doing this segment today, because these honeys need us. And there are more people out there that the Lord has put it in their heart. We need them to dig deep. We need them to go in their prayer closets, get that revelation and that vision, because these honeys need us. And we are creating more and more orphans, unfortunately, these days. We got to save these babies.
And for us Christians,
yes, that's what we're called to do.
That's what we're called to do.
We are called to do this. Okay. So you've heard so many tragic stories when you're talking to these children, when you're doing your research on them and all that. How do you stay optimistic? Because you are optimistic. You're a hopeful person. You're smiling all the time. How do you remain that way based on kind of some of the stuff you're hearing and reading about?
Hope.
Yes.
There's always hope, Cynt.
Always, yes.
And you know who I get that hope from? My own children, my own family. The children whom I meet every Wednesday fill me with hope.
Yes.
I go in to these interviews with these children and I walk away inspired by them.
Yes.
I see God in them.
Yes.
And so it is the children
Yes. They've gone through so much.
have gone through so much
Yes.
who provide me with the hope to continue to do this.
I love that.
Because if they can do it, so can I.
And so can I. That's how I was when I sat and listened to you do one of the interviews. I left there in tears, and I thought, this young man has been through so much, and he still had a smile on his face. Resilient and hopeful. And he loved talking to you because you were giving him that attention, and then you gave him hope.
And you know what he told me? I remember that interview. I said, why are you smiling so much? Why are you so happy given everything you've been through? And he said, because I can make a choice to either smile and be happy or not.
Oh,
it's all about choices.
It's all about choices. It's all about choices. Oh, my goodness. Okay, so when you think about your children and all that, what's your hope for all of our kids here? And not just in Dallas County, but around the world. All these kids who are in foster care. What do you want to say to them?
You're loved. You matter.
Yes.
God loves you.
Yes. I love that.
And every time someone smiles at you, they're giving you love.
Yes.
Take that love and use it for good, to fill you up.
Yes.
But you're loved.
They need to hear that. They need to hear that. It's interesting because when, we adopted our kids and all that, and so for now. And one of the things that I told them early on, every adoption, I said, your birth mothers loved you, because I want them to know that. There's no judgment here. I said, but through circumstances beyond their control, your control, and all that, you ended up with us. But they loved you, and we love you. That's the first conversation I have with them, because kids need to hear that. They need to know that they are loved.
Do you know what Henry told me?
What do you say?
The child who we adopted,
Yes.
who I even forget is adopted.
Yes.
We were in the car several months ago. He is 8. He's about to turn 9. Out of the blue, because you know how children are. They'll throw something at you,
boom,
out of the blue, and you're
right.
like, whoa. He's in the back seat in the minivan. Yes, I drive a minivan, and I'm proud of it.
I love it. The mama minivan. Okay, you got to have the mama minivan, okay?
Just the two of us.
Yes.
He said, hey, Mom. And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, why did my other mom abandon me? And I said, good question. Let me stop you right there. I would argue, I said, saying that she abandoned you, I would argue that's not a good way to look at it, Henry. I said, I would argue this, Henry, that she loved you so much that she knew she couldn't take care of you. So she allowed the state to place you in a home where you would be adored and loved and cared for.
Yes.
That, to me, son, is the ultimate love.
Ultimate love.
That's how much she loved you.
Ultimate love.
And he said, okay.
That's all he needed to hear.
Hey, Mom, where are we going tonight for ice cream?
Exactly, right.
That's all he needed to hear.
That's all he needed to hear.
I haven't heard about it again.
That he was loved. Because there's
Because
all
he
that
was.
there's all that baggage and stuff where I go trauma, I was abandoned, abused, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Okay? And some of that could be true. However, there still is that love there. Things happen. Actions, people take action, some things happen to people. But that love is there. That love is there. But that's what you can say when you don't judge people, when you know the Lord has called you to be the one to care for this child and to raise. You don't judge what happened in the past. You love that person and you love him too.
If God
and he needs to know.
If God is judge sent, the rest of us don't need to judge.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
we
right.
need not
sister.
worry about that.
We just got to do what he has called us to do.
Amen.
Fortunately, in my case and in your case, he has called us to care for children that we did not give birth to. You have two that you did give birth to, but you have one you didn't. And he puts us in these positions where we get to care for them. And it's a beautiful thing. I'm honored to be an adoptive mom. I know you are honored to be an adoptive mom. And we want to see more of these kids placed. I love you, sister.
Love you. Thanks for having
what
me here.
you do every single day. However we can help, let us know. We want to see these honeys adopted.
Let's find Tim.
Okay, we're going to find Tim.
Let's find Tim.
We're going to find Tim. I love you. Before we close this episode, I want to highlight two make a difference opportunities, or should I say two more, because you've already heard about Dallas CASA, looking for volunteers, more advocates. You've heard about Wednesday's Child. You've heard about Jonathan's Place and the Gladney Center for Adoption. There are all sorts of ways for you to give of your time, talent, and treasure, especially on behalf of our babies, or I call them honeys. On December 3rd, the Dallas Children's Advocacy Center's Holiday of Hope program will begin. This program is designed to surround kids with care, comfort, and the magic of the holiday season. For children who are healing from the trauma associated with child abuse, the holiday season is often an especially difficult time. Receiving a brand new reading book, a cozy fuzzy blanket, 5 to 6 thoughtfully chosen age-appropriate gifts, and 1 to 2 board games can bring tremendous joy to these children. Please go to dcac.org to learn more about the Dallas Children's Advocacy Center and their Holiday of Hope program that begins December 3rd and ends December 20th. Let's make a difference for these honeys. Let's talk about our second MAD opportunity. Each year, Soul Reborn, a 501c3 non-profit organization, puts into motion its heartfelt efforts to bring joy to children in foster care, teen moms, and mothers escaping domestic violence. They actually do this work year-round. Cheryl Pelote Williamson, my dear friend, is the founder and CEO of Soul Reborn, and this sister is doing the hard work to make a difference for people who need to be supported. Soul Reborn is one of the recipients of my Project Heaven Sent birthday initiative, and I want y'all to put Soul Reborn on your list too. Please go to soulreborn.org to make a donation or to get more information on how you can support a family in need during this holiday season. Let's go out there and make a difference. Okay, that's my 2 cents for now. Thanks, Kathleen and Cynthia, for such inspiring, informative, and insightful and emotional conversations. Y'all are truly up to some good stuff, sisters. Thank you for advocating for children, protecting them, and for raising awareness about adoption. Thank you, our awesome listeners, for tuning in. I hope you've been impacted and inspired by today's conversations. Consider this particular podcast segment a call to action to help our youth who are in need of permanence and stability. We are the big people who are anointed to take care of the little people. They need us more than ever. God bless you. That's my 2 cents. For
For more than 40 years, WFAA has brought awareness to foster care through our weekly Wednesday's Child segments. Recently, Dallas Mavericks CEO Cynt Marshall and I sat down to discuss how a similar program helped create her family. Cynt, Kenny, it's great to see y'all. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. Great to see you.
Can you introduce us to your family?
Of course. We have 3 of the 4 honeys behind us here. We have Kenneth Anthony, who is the second oldest. We have Shirley Elaine, who is the third one. We have Ricky, who is the oldest. And then Alicia is not here with us today.
Tell us how you formed your family.
Okay, the way we formed our family after 10 years of trying to have a family. So 4 second trimester miscarriages, and then 1 premature daughter who died at 6 months old. So all of that, 10 years. So after that, we just knew the Lord had another way to make our family. And this guy right here, Kenny did, really pushed adoption, and he had already started, pushing that. But I was just on this mission that I just got to have these babies. I said something real stupid one time. I said, there's no way you can love kids that somebody else had like they're yours, which is so ridiculous when I look at these honeys, but I didn't know any better, okay? And so I came home one night and he said, we're going to an adoption meeting. And I didn't want to go, and he actually picked me up and put me in his truck and said, we are going, because there are lots of kids in our county, and someone had told him this, that need homes. And I said, nope, you just go to an agency, pay them, and just leave a kid on my doorstep. I'm not dealing with bureaucracy. I was grieving. I mean, my daughter had just passed like 2 months before then. And I just said no. And we ended up going to an adoption meeting, and the rest is history.
Kenny, why were you so insistent that y'all go to the adoption agency?
I think I too was grieving, and I just felt like there was more than one way to make a family. And I was exploring those possibilities because I was so deeply grieved at the time.
How did you know there was more than one way to make a family? You heard Cynt, there is that belief sometimes in some families that, the blood is everything. How did you get past all that?
Well, I think that I've grown up living in a world where I've learned that there's more than one way to do many things. And making a family was just another thing to me. I grew up in a large family, and kids wind up in different places for different reasons. And I couldn't see why we couldn't do this differently, especially if it endangered her life.
And that was it. I almost died a couple of times. I mean, he actually had a doctor ask him, do you want us to try to save your wife, or try to save the baby? And he said, I don't want to be in that position again. I just don't want to be in that position where some doctor is asking me to make that decision. And even after that, though, we tried one more time because I was just insistent. And I remember having a coworker. We were on the staircase at work, and he said, Cynt, I have some friends who adopted, and they have 2 adopted kids. It's beautiful. They're a family. And that's when I told him that crazy thing about, I just don't believe you can love a kid like that. And he just said, you're crazy. And then when we adopted Anthony and we sent out the Christmas card with the judge and all that, and we said he adopted us, and we were all smiling. I mean, we're just cheesing, right? And so my buddy called me. He said, what was that you told me? Like, tell me that again. I said, obviously I didn't know what I was talking about. He said, that's what I was trying to tell you, girl, because you can't tell me that, like, I didn't have these kids.
And I love the story about what happened at the adoption agency, right?
Oh, it was beautiful. So we show up to the meeting that night, and it was at our county, right? And so we walk in, and I clearly didn't want to be there, so I had a lightweight attitude. There were only 2 seats left in the room, and they were in the front row. So he grabbed my hand, and he's marching me all the way up to the front row. I don't want to be there. There are 2 social workers in the back, and of course, we hear this story from them later. We don't know it at the time. And so they said, when we walked in, they said, could that guy be Anthony Young's father? I mean, he looks just like him, right? And so they said, of course not, of course not. And so the other social worker said, what are the chances that they want a 2-year-old black boy? And she says, no, because everybody right now that they had in their queue wanted a girl, an infant girl. And so go up, I sit down, and they're going through the whole thing. They're telling us it's about a 1.5 year, 2 year process. And I'm like, good. And I looked at him and I said, I really don't want to be here. And so they told us to fill out some papers. So that was before, everything was just digital, so back in the day. And so I guess the guy heard me tell him, I said, I don't want to do all this. Because of course I'm in the front row. And then the guy said, and so for anybody who doesn't want to fill out everything, they can just write down their name and in the upper right-hand corner, what kind of kid they're interested in. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. So I write down my name and I put in the upper right-hand corner, 2-year-old black boy. At that point, a hand reaches over me because at this point, the social worker said, she told her, she goes, I believe in miracles. So I'm going to go over there and talk to these people. So she was actually standing behind me when I wrote down 2-year-old black boy. And so this hand comes over me and actually grabs the paper. And I look at her, and in fact, he was sitting to my right. I look at her, Kenny looks over, and she says, are you really interested in a 2-year-old black boy? And I was being sarcastic. I said, no, I just wrote that down. And then I just started crying. And so then he looked at me, he got emotional, and he told the social worker, he said, we just lost an infant girl. And so we don't want to replace her, special K, and her name was Carolyn with the K, because he's Kenny with the K. And he says, we can't replace her, so we just said, we'll go kind of just the opposite. So we'll do a 2-year-old black boy. And I said, yeah, and by the way, I just want him to be able to fall in my routine, so if I don't have to do all the diapers, then I don't have to. So we laughed about it, right? Which, of course, they bring their own routine, right? So the 1.5 to 2 year process actually started the next day. We got a call the next day telling us about this one. It was unbelievable.
When you hear your mom and dad talk about those moments, what do you think about all that?
Well, I love it. I mean, I think, I was placed on this earth to be a light, and I was able to do that for them, and now I get to do it for so many other people. So it makes me smile, and it warms my heart when I hear them tell this story, especially as an adult. So,
especially the fact that your mother wrote down a 2-year-old black boy.
God, man.
Mm-hmm. So safe to say at the beginning, y'all were not on the same page about adoption?
No, because, 10 years of me trying and almost dying just about every time. But I want to do it. You know me. So I'm type A. I have a plan. I had this plan. I was going to graduate from college, start working, 2 years later, get married, then start a family. So I had it all mapped out. And then it all happened the way I wanted it to happen until we got to the have a family part. And I was just insistent. I am going to do this my way. Everything I've ever tried to do in life, I was just told, dream, focus, pray, and act. It'll happen. And so I didn't realize the Lord had another plan for us, and it's a beautiful plan, obviously. He had another plan. And so sometimes you just have to be open and yield to his plan. So they called us that next day. They told us about this 2-year-old boy. And he had been in the system since, the child welfare system since he was 9 months old. They gave us his story. We went and we read the paperwork. We actually read about a brother who was 9 years old at the time when they were found and separated. And so we're reading this whole story. We asked about the brother. They told us the brother was somewhere else, which there was just some misinformation there. And so we met him, and he was suffering from failure to thrive and just had a lot of different issues, had been in 3 or 4 different foster homes.
Already?
Already, at 2.5 years old, already. And suffering from abandonment, neglect, abuse, all of that. But just absolutely precious. And so when Kenny laid eyes on him, he said, all that boy needs is love and a haircut. He said, we got the love, and I'll take him to get a haircut every week. And they went to the barbershop every week for a long time.
And then how did the other babies come along?
Well, the other babies came along because, so I came in late from work one day, and this is what I get for working late. And he runs to the garage door and met me and said, there's this little girl on TV. And so he had these big old eyes, and he starts telling me. So at this point, he's about 5 years old. And he starts telling me about this little girl on television. He said, and it was a Wednesday's Child segment, so you can appreciate it in San Francisco, right? And so Shirley's a Wednesday's Child. And so he says, and they had this number to call, this 100 kind of number. And I made Dad call the number, and Dad said she sort of looks like you, and she looks sad like you did when you were little. And I'm looking at him like, what? He goes, Mom, don't worry about that. She needs to be adopted. I'm going to adopt her the way you guys adopted me. She needs a big brother. He didn't say anything about a mother or a father. He said she needs a big brother. And I made Dad call. And I'm looking at him because I could barely keep up with this new life of mine. Executive woman, kid in the house, and I'm already coming in late. And I'm like, what? And so he told me later, he goes, don't worry about it. He said, yeah, he maybe make the call, but don't worry about it. He goes, we're just going to have him. I said, okay, okay.
I prepped him as well as I could.
Yeah. they had it all mapped out, right? And so then, of course, the people called us, and 800 people called the TV station because she's cute as a button. And we got her. And she had been left in San Francisco General Hospital. Her discharge record said this discharge is a miracle. She had gone through a lot, and some foster parents took her home to a special needs home, and all the kids had severe special needs, and Shirley was thriving. And they thought, you know what, she's thriving. We think we can mainstream her into just, another kind of family. She doesn't, she has special needs, but not to this degree. And they made a decision to feature her on Wednesday's Child.
How old was she?
2. And so cute. That's why, so many people called. Just so cute. But he caught it, okay? She caught his eye. And so we laughed because we moved to North Carolina and a similar thing happened with our daughter, Alicia. So when he went to college, I said, give me the remote control. Because he's picking all his sister, he's picking the kids off TV. Okay, I got the Wednesday's Child, I got the Friday's Child. I'd be like, give us the remote control, okay? Okay, he's just picking the kids.
Big hearts.
And so then we get a call that Christmas. So this is all literally happening at the same time. Okay, so Shirley wasn't with us yet. Okay, we just found out about her. So we're, starting the process. But then we get this call. Literally, it was 2 days after Christmas. And Anthony had a little play date scheduled with one of his little classmates. And they said, we're calling to let you know that Anthony's birth mom has passed away. And we've told his brother, who is 14, and he's really upset. And his first question is, whatever happened to his little brother? That he had only seen him like one time since they were split up, because they were found in an old abandoned place. He had been taking care of Anthony for 2 months, feeding him and all that. Because the mom had gone to jail. The mom was taken away to jail, but nobody told the police that the mom had left these 2 boys. And so Ricky was handling business. 9 years old, he was taking care of his brother. So for 2 months. So anyway, so they find them, they split them up. And so then Ricky was in a group home, very stable, with some other young men. He has a foster mom, Minnie Harris, who specializes in teenage boys, who is just a saint. And so they asked if they could have pictures of Anthony so that they could show the pictures to Ricky, because his first question is, what happened to his little brother? Yes, he was grieving the loss of his mother, hadn't seen her in a while, but what happened to his little brother? And so this one here said, yeah, we got pictures, but we'd like to meet him. We want him to know his brother. And so we told Anthony, we said, well, we're going to let you go to your play date, because, of course, we have to go check it all out first and check out the landscape. And then we said, because we're going to go see your brother. And he said, brother, cousins? Because at this point, he has it's 6 of them, 6 of us. And so at this point, he's got a bajillion cousins. So he just knew the word cousin. And finally, he couldn't grasp brother. So I said, yeah, fine. And so he said, no. I don't want him to think that's his cousin. He needs to know that's his brother who saved his life. He needs to know we're going to see his brother. And so he was trying to explain it to him. He didn't quite understand. So we walk into the home, and then of course Ricky walks out, and it's like I'm looking at Anthony. And then we gave him the photo albums. He goes in the back room. He's showing his foster brothers the photo albums, and he's talking about Disneyland and looking at pictures like he was there with us. So Kenny's crying, I'm crying, the foster mother is crying. because she was like leery
The
at
two
first.
boys haven't met yet.
They
though.
haven't met yet.
Okay.
So Anthony is on his play date. We go to see Ricky. Ricky is in the back talking. At this point, we hear him, and that's when we all decide we're going to reunite them tonight. Like they need to be back together tonight. And so we asked the foster mother, we said, can we take him with us to go and pick up Anthony? Then we'll take him out to eat, and then we'll bring him back. And she said, absolutely.
Do you remember that, Ricky?
I remember, I remember that, and I also remember when Anthony first came to the house. He came to the house, and I was like, it's some little kid here. Like, I didn't know who he was. I'm like, it's some little kid at the door. I don't know who it is. Is this anybody's, I didn't know who he was. And it's like, this is Anthony. I'm like, what? Like, that's my little brother? Like, I didn't know who he was. It was crazy. So.
Yeah, because when he opened the door, so we go back to the people's house, and I said, you just go there and ring the doorbell, because we didn't tell him what was happening. And Anthony opens the door, and Ricky's looking at him, and he's trying to figure out, he's looking back at us, and he's like, just like he said, who is this? And I said, because he doesn't know if it's the little boy that lives there. And I said, that's Anthony. He's my brother. And then, you remember,
I
he
broke
just
down.
broke down. He broke down. He broke down.
Why did you break down?
I mean, because it's my brother, and I haven't seen him in so long, and we were, had a close bond. So, it's been a long time, and, just all those years and all that time wondering where he is and how he's doing, that's the only thing that I can think about at that age,
You were so young and you were stressed about the little brother who had been separated from you.
Yes.
I mean, Ricky was literally wrapping me up, putting me in this cart, going around finding food around the neighborhood, and then he would go back into where we were staying, and that's how people saw us. They were like, well, there's these two little kids over there. And so that's how the whole thing happened. They called child services, and boom.
Have you thanked Ricky for all of this?
What? Oh my, there's not enough thanks I can give this man. And I mean, we just being older now, we're both 30 plus years old, and we have such a tight bond. We talk about a lot of things together. We get to have our own trips. We have our own relationship that has nothing to do with our parents and our, we have this brother bond that will never be changed or, broken. So it's amazing, and I love this guy so much, and he knows it.
There are a lot of children who are separated in foster care, Kenny, and they stay separated. But that was clearly something you weren't going to have.
I think I've just always had a fairly strong sense of family and kinship and relationship, and I think it's important to know who your people are. And that I just kind of follow that, that sort of beacon. And it was just important to me at the time, especially reuniting them. I needed them to understand who they were and what the reuniting was about.
Why is it important to understand who you are and where you come from?
I think it's like the compass for the journey. You have to know where you start. You have to know where you start, so then that helps direct where you are going. It helps to know your roots. It helps. Sometimes you'll get in situations where that's the only thing that will ground you. You have to know who you are. You belong to somebody, even if they're not in your life right now. One thing I've told all of the kids is your birth mothers loved you. They loved you for reasons just out of your control, circumstances, some things out of their control. They couldn't take care of you. So then the Lord blessed us to all come together. But you were loved. And now we get to care for you. We get to love and care for you. So it's just good to know your roots. It's good to know you're loved. Despite all the circumstances, it's just good to know. And there's a connection. It's good to know you belong to people. I mean, these kids, no matter what, they're kids to me, right? So no matter what they get into, they know we got them. And vice versa, no matter what we get into, we know they got us. It's a beautiful thing.
Kenneth Anthony, I asked if you thanked your brother Ricky. Now, Shirley, have you thanked Kenneth Anthony?
Yes. Yes, I have. A lot. I've been very grateful that I've been put into this family and getting to know them as well. and just grow up with them, like, it was so much fun, honestly. It was really fun.
So with so many dynamics at play, you know, we've got brothers getting reunited, we've got Wednesday's child, Friday's child. I mean, we got all these things going on. How long did it take you to feel like a family?
Okay, it was quick, but there was a moment in time where we just had to address it. And that's when Ricky was over, because Ricky decided that he was going to have the best of both worlds, because at 14, they let him make a decision. Okay, so he said he would stay with Minnie during the week because he was in high school already, but he'd come with us on the weekends and the holidays and all that.
Foster mom is
Foster mom. And it's beautiful because Ricky was a freshman in the high school where I went to high school. And I said, Ricky, I said, where do you go to school? He goes, Kennedy High School. And this foster home is right around the corner from my mother's house. That's how close it was. And I said, honey, do you know Mrs. Gardner in the main office? He goes, I love Mrs. Gardner. She is so sweet, blah, 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 blah. I said, well, that's your new grandma. I said, that's my mom. My mom said the next day Ricky was in there like, Grandma, I need $5 for lunch. Wait. So Ricky bonded real quick, okay? Ricky was in there getting lunch money, okay? And so then one time, Ricky was there on the weekend, and Shirley was on his back. And he's just such a good big brother. Like, he'd let him do anything, right? And she's hitting him in the head like a horse and all that. So Anthony comes up, and he says, stop hitting on him. Stop hitting on him. And she said, he's my brother. He's my brother. We're playing. And Anthony goes, no, he's my brother. He saved my life, and he's my brother. Shirley says, well, he's my brother too, and now he's saving my life. You found me, and now that's my brother too. You got to share him. And I said, okay, everybody, we're a family. Everybody can share everybody. And Shirley kind of looked at Anthony, and they looked, and then Ricky grabbed them both. And then after that, that's what you get back there. It was that moment.
Your children are older now. As you look back, what would you tell yourself in those scary moments 20 years ago?
I would tell myself that the Lord has a plan, and that I need to give up on my plan, and that I am not in control. And I always quote the scripture, Jeremiah 29:11, and I used to send it to them when they were in college every day, that the Lord has a plan for us. And it's to give us hope and a future. I mean, he has a plan for us, and it's a good plan. He wants us to prosper. There's a future for us. And I would tell myself that that scripture is real, and I need to act on it and be open to his plan, not mine. That I don't need to have all these miscarriages. I don't need to go through everything I'm going through. He has a plan. It took me 10 years to finally let that scripture come to life. So I would tell myself, just let go and let God. But when you were talking about the scary moments, and I know you're talking about that whole 10-year period, the miscarriages, the death of the daughter and all that, him hearing the doctor say, who do you want us to save, the baby or your wife? Those were crazy times. And obviously we lived through them. I guess we had to. But if I could do it all over again, I'd avoid some of that. But I got these honeys now. I got these honeys, my babies. My babies, they're lively. Those are my honeys. And they've taught us so much. I mean, and I tell a lot of different stories in my speeches about all three of them. The listening lesson that he taught me, the perspective lesson that Shirley taught me when she got all her different eyeglasses, and I felt so sad to realize that her vision was the same as mine. And I remember telling that baby when I tried on all 5 of her eyeglasses because she wanted me to come home because she had swim glasses, soccer glasses, this, that, and other, because, you know, she's daddy's baby, so good health care. He gave her all that. And finally I said, honey, she goes, Mom, why you look so sad? I said, baby, I didn't realize your vision was as poor as it is. I said, you have, I think at the time I was like 45. I said, you have like 45-year-old eyes. And she looked at me and she says, Mom, you ought to be happy. Young thing, you ought to tell Dad, you got 10-year-old eyes. Whatever age we were. But she was like, she looked at it from her perspective like I should be happy to have her eyes instead of the other way around. And I still talk about that. I said that girl gave me a different perspective that day that I still have, looking through the world through different.
So what does it mean to you to be a family?
I mean, family is everything. it keeps you grounded, and you know, it's one of the, like, I love family. Like, no matter what's going on in the world, even when I have down days or anything like that, I always reflect back on my family, and it's my happy place, you know. And my mom always instilled these words that was, you know, that she came up on, which was focus, dream, pray, and act. And so we live on those. We live on those today, and that's what keeps us going. And just watching her succeed just pushes everybody. She's the motor. You know, we just go and follow behind her. That's all.
That's so sweet. That's on tape. Okay, I need that clip.
And I can tell, Shirley, that your mama taught you to smile.
Yeah. Yes, she did.
I always tell my kids, Mother Teresa said, smile, because it's the beginning of love.
It is. You just smile your way through it. You smile your way through it.
Yeah, like Ricky said, family's everything. To see my family and my parents try to have a family and to make a family, and to see the family that they brought us into, they're having huge families. It really solidifies that into our hearts and our souls. Like, this is what we're doing it for. At the end of the day, this is all we have. Regardless if we're gone tomorrow, like, our family's gonna be there. And so it's beautiful, and I'm super thankful to think that this is my sister, this is my brother. I have another sister that, you know, I had a hand in creating and helping, so it's everything to me.
And you continue, Kenny, to help children, the two of you, I mean, in a very big way, through Dallas CASA. Can we talk about that for a minute, Kenny? People watching this may be interested in how they can help. Obviously, you're strong advocates. What would you say to people that want to help, especially men?
I would say to you that it's a way that you can help others. After I adopted children, I realized that these were not the only children that needed to be supported. And I also felt like I could participate in a different way. So my recommendation would be to volunteer for an organization like CASA, or volunteer for CASA in particular. And I found it to be very rewarding in terms of just supporting the whole idea of family.
You just wrote a book.
Yes.
I recommend it. Highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Thank you.
This is an incredible book.
Thank
You've
you.
been chosen.
Yes.
Why?
It's about, that whole book is about how God and great people have always shown up in my life, and how God and great people have shown up in the lives of these people around me. And that the things that happen to us, the good, the bad, the great, and the ugly, especially the bad and the ugly, it all happens for a reason. It's a setup, that we've been chosen for the things that we go through, but we are uniquely equipped to get through them, especially if we rely on our village. So you've been chosen. You can thrive through the unexpected. And so when I think about my 10 years of trying to have a family, the death of my daughter, just the things, you know, some of the things, you know, that happened in my childhood, and I had a good childhood, but we had some things that happened. And all of that was for a reason. And the Lord always showed up. And so now I'm in a position where I just think, where do I need to show up? Who do I need to show up for? I need to stop watching Wednesday's Child, okay? I need to stop watching it, because then we always think, okay, is this the next one? Because we know the Lord is not finished with us. He's not finished with our family. He brought us all together. We've been chosen, especially for such a time as this. So many kids are still out there.
My final question. Your mother just wrote a book. You've been chosen. I'd like to know, starting with you, Ricky, what have you been chosen for?
I've been chosen to help others. You know, I have a kind heart as everyone else in the family, and you know, I just think that God placed me on this earth to help others, you know, and that's what I'm here to do.
You started at a very young age helping others, and no one even taught you. That was straight from God. Yep. Shirley, what have you been chosen for?
I'd say the same thing as my brother, and as my mom would say too. I was here to help people, and I'm very good with it. I've helped a lot of people in certain situations, like coworkers, stuff like that. They didn't have a place to go. I opened up my home for a coworker so he wouldn't sleep in the winter in the snowstorm. And now look at him. He's out, got his own place, and living life.
So during the winter storm, that horrific, bitter winter storm, you had someone in your home who, oh, wow, that's beautiful, Shirley. Kenneth Anthony.
Man, well, my parents have taught us to love God and love people, and obviously family falls into that, but I've been chosen for moments like this to tell my story, to be a light in the world. Obviously, I was able to impact and help my mom and dad, and through that, I've been able to do that to many people. So I'm always going to tell my story. I'm always going to be a light. I'm always going to be an advocate for people that are in different circumstances. So yeah, just I'm called to love and to help, you know.
You are a beautiful light.
Thank you.
You really are. And Kenny, we will end with you. What is the takeaway from this story? What do you want people to take away from this story?
That life is a challenge as well as a journey, that all things are possible, that you can embrace the world and be a part of it, and have the world be a part of you. And it just takes the desire and the effort to do so.
Amen to that. Any final thoughts, Cynt?
Thank you for what you do. Thank you for what you do every day. I want to thank this whole crew, the people who put this together. I'm looking over at them now. We all have similar stories, similar adoption stories. And we're not here by accident. We've all been chosen. And we've been chosen for such a time as this. And we just have to keep our hearts open, our doors open, our minds open to what God has in store next, because He is not finished with us. He's not finished with us. We have more to do, and we have more to do together because we've been chosen.
Thank you for your heart. And just thank you for loving Cynt. You love so good.
I love to love. I love to love. And I love you, sister.
Likewise.